Neighbor tells you about the unstable man in the cul-de-sac who claims to have been abducted by aliens. And then there's the woman in town who claims to see Bigfoot all the time. Your boss, who you greatly admire, confides in you that he has started speaking with his wife daily when he gets home from work. She died 8 years ago. It's hard to believe this stuff, and you write these stories off as overactive imaginations. Are these people seeking attention, or are they a bit unstable? No matter what you think, if you're like me, you walk away wondering, what if that was true? The What If It's True podcast features stories by ordinary people like you and me. Something has happened to them, something so strange they are in agony unless they tell others. My name is Cameron Buckner, and the What If It's True podcast is available at whatifitstruepodcast.com and on all available podcast apps.
Mark, we're live and don't get choked up already.
I got choked.
Yeah. Guess who chose the short straw for first up at the first of the year? But we all knew it was coming. We knew it.
Yeah.
That's all good.
So, I just want to say one thing before we get going in this is, I get on Facebook maybe once a week. But I saw where Shelley added 23 new members to our Facebook page.
Yeah.
And so that's awesome that people have an interest and want to join and interact with us. I think it might have to do with our meet and eat.
You think they just want to come and eat our food?
They don't know me and you too well, do they?
No, they don't. There won't be much left. I guarantee you that. So, how did you make it through this cold winter day?
Well, pretty good. I went out yesterday and cut up some firewood so that I had some extra firewood. And so I've been running the wood heater. I call it the firebox.
Yeah.
And the house is nice and toasty. And I'm not running no central air.
I am. But it's gas and it's warm. Warm. I want everybody... We've had Turtle Man on our show. Now he did a live video today. He's been sick with COVID. He said it on his live video. So we just want everybody to pray for him and Suzanne. They came on. They're great people, and they're having a rough time right now. He sounded still weak, but he looked good, and he said he was feeling a lot better since they got their medicine yesterday, I think. So just remember them in your prayers. I know there's several people with COVID right now. That new variant's going around, and it's crazy. Well, my father's got it too, but...
Oh, does he?
Yeah, but he's so ornery, it ain't doing nothing to him. No, he went to the doctor. He was having trouble breathing and stuff, but he went to the doctor and got diagnosed, and the doctor actually prescribed him ivermectin and wanted to put him in the hospital, but he told him he wasn't going in the hospital, so they just gave him oxygen, sent him home, and after they gave him the ivermectin, he's been doing fine. And this video will get banned because I said that. That's what happened. So there you go. May not work for everybody, but it did work for him. So What else?
Well, we got I guess this topic could be really touchy with a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so I just want we got 100 folks in chat. And so I'd just like to invite them, if they have opinions, to put them in all caps, and we'll try to keep up with them. I guess me and Larry will get started first on this, and because it is something to ponder on, why science has not recognized these creatures in the past 50 years.
Yeah. And us as researchers, what are we missing that we can't put a pattern together?
Yeah.
To go out and see them more often or interact or whatever. And I know there's several people that say they have interaction, and there's probably people that do, but the scientific community don't pay any attention to them. And a lot of them don't share any of the information with the scientific community because they want to keep their place under wraps. They want to keep their identity hidden. And I understand that because this community is so cutthroat. And it's sad that we can't get anywhere because people are reluctant to put their evidence out. They're reluctant to put their identities out, their locations out. So many things that is negatively impacted for everyone because of a few that want to bash and abuse.
Well, that's very true. You look at how technology has advanced over the past 50 years. And it does make you wonder why that we have not been able to document and to prove to the scientific world beyond a reasonable doubt that these creatures are out there and in the woods.
Yeah, no doubt. Ooh. Chat's moving pretty quick, but CD Squatcher's got a great statement there, and that's true. And I've seen some questions already, and we will get to them. You may have to repeat them because they may get lost, so bear with us. We'll do this one real quick. Let's be Q. What's your best question? What's your best single piece of evidence that Bigfoot exists for a total skeptic? It's got to be the Patterson-Gimlin film. I know some people think it's fake, but science has tried to disprove it and can't. They can't recreate costume or anything. And through the footprint evidence, the size comparisons, and all that, it stood up to scientific scrutiny. The rest of it's just conjecture that it's a man in a suit that can't be proven. And that happens a lot in this community. If somebody comes out with evidence, whether it's a video, a picture, audio, whatever, all it takes is one butthead with a microphone, not me and Mark, but some other butthead, to say that it's fake or it's not credible or the person's not credible. And half the people immediately dismiss it. Go ahead.
You know, what gets me is 90% of these critical thinkers, you don't ever see them out in the woods.
You sure don't ever see them present any evidence.
And, you know, so many people have anointed themselves as the Bigfoot sheriff. And I guess what bothers me about it is you've got these little groups, And if one person out of that group who has a little bit of a hierarchy over the others says something, it's it's the wolf pack mentality that
Yeah.
takes off and wants to just bash. I'm thinking back, it wasn't that long ago, and us documenting casting the footprints at
Yeah.
LBL. And somebody had spotted that and posted a picture, and all these critical thinkers got to talking about how it was a hoax.
Yeah.
And I know Shelley actually tried to defend that maybe it was a hoax, but and she stated the facts, the video that we produced. She sent it to them for them to look at it as a whole, but it all boils down to people's opinions.
Right.
And what I would suggest before you form an opinion, you get the facts.
Right.
To your best ability, you ask for the facts. That's one thing that I have always appreciated about Debbie Jones is that I have seen her interview I don't know how many people, but when she interviews, she's asking for questions. She's asking questions, and she does it in a way that people are not defensive. She's
Right.
asking the questions that she wants to go down that road and see it through that person's eyes. And I think that if more people were like that, then this would be a better community. Now, if we're going to have some Bigfoot sheriffs in this community, I wish we would I wish they would go after these trolls because that's what they are. They are nothing but trolls. And the thing about it is these people actually believe that Bigfoot exists. But why
Most of
or
them.
yeah, but why are they trying to call somebody a hoaxer? You know, I I think there's very little hoaxing that goes on
Yeah.
with legitimate people. I think that it it's more misidentification than
Yeah.
anything or imagination. Imagination is your worst enemy because if there's two or three people in the woods and you get out there and something starts happening, and I've seen people panic, and it's not a good thing, and then you listen to the stories that they tell afterwards,
Right.
and I'm like, well, that's not how I perceived it.
Right.
And so it's this community is our own worst enemy. Now,
Yeah.
are there any questions you want to pop up before I keep rambling?
Well, I just want you got in the middle of your thought and said it may be a hoax on that uh, trackway, but it ain't a hoax because of any of us. If it had to
Yeah,
be some joker that
yeah,
was really good at something to for it to have been a hoax. Otherwise, it's 100% legit.
yeah,
And we didn't see the thing walk out of the woods and walk down the bank, so we just got to say probable
right, right.
because we're fat, but we ain't that fat, and our feet ain't that big.
Yeah,
But yeah, but I didn't want this to go off on hoaxing that bad. But I mean, they want. I don't know. There's so many people that want to throw in a dude that likes to dress up in a monkey suit and scare his buddies as a hoaxer. He don't give a crap about the subject. He's out there playing a joke. And if somebody videos it and puts it on the internet as a joke, whoop-de-doo. Don't watch the video. You know it's fake. You ain't got to make a big deal out of it. Who cares? Move on.
Yeah.
That's the trouble with most of this community. They can't look at something and say, all right, that's useless. Let's move on.
Yeah.
They got to crucify somebody to get their name up in lights or whatever they do. I don't know. But anyway, let's get back to the what are we missing? Because we ain't missing them people at all. The hoaxer or the person calling the hoaxer out. We need more people paying attention to the subject and not the stupidity in the community. And we got too much stupidity in the community. So let's go back to the beginning. I know we're going to have Thomas on next week, and he's going to talk about the 4 horsemen of original Bigfoot research. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And every one of them were pretty much scientific based on what they did. They went out into areas that had sightings, they found tracks or whatever, and they would go in there and physically walk around looking for scientific information, measurements, blah, blah, whatever. And for 50 years, people have emulated what they've done. And for 50 years, we've not moved the ball much further down the field than what it was. Would you agree with that?
I would. So now we go back to the question. What are we missing?
What we're missing is I don't know. Because once you get past the scientific, you get to opinion of what it is. Because there's different types of people that research. There's trackers, there's habituators, there's the people that beat the bush looking for sign. There's the unlucky people or the lucky people, in some opinion, that have bought property, that have them on the property, that they have interaction. And of course, what we talked about, the scientific researcher. Which one of them do you think bring in the most evidence? In your opinion, this is just opinion.
You know, I think a lot of times it's somebody that's not even in the Bigfoot community that has a sighting or encounter, or they move into a rural area where these creatures, that's a part of their trackway of coming onto their property. That, you know, Dan Rickey has said something very wise. Research the researcher. And that will tell you an awful lot. But if we look at people that aren't even researchers, then, and they tell a story and they're really not even involved in Bigfoot or know what we believe or behavioral characteristics of Bigfoot, you've got to pay attention to those people. And I think that will help you connect the dots.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. We've had this discussion so many times around the campfire about what we're missing, because we've done the same thing pretty much for the last 4 or 5 years. We've tweaked it here and there and tried different things. We've got better technology. But to me, I don't know. I think probably what we're missing is the beginning of the whole research. What are we looking for?
Well, let me just say this. I think a lot has to do with why the researcher is researching. And as far as me and Larry go from day one, we are not out there to prove the existence.
Yeah.
That's not why we're out there. We're out there because of the adrenaline rush whenever you are having some type of encounter
Yeah.
with them. And that's one reason why we go deeper and deeper into the forest, because we want to eliminate the human factor out of it, and we want to see what happens.
Right.
And whether if you go out there for 2 days, 3, 4, 5, 6 days in a row, and you're in an area that you have researched and you feel like that you have jumped up the odds where you might have an encounter. And it's not going to happen every time. I mean, you could be in a good area, but if their trackway, if they don't come back, if it takes 30 days for them to make a circle,
Yeah.
you know, you could just be in there at the wrong time.
Yeah.
And I won't put anybody down for what their purpose is for getting out in the woods.
Right.
Because your goal may be to prove the existence. Your goal might be to get the $1 million video of them. And I don't fault nobody for their own personal goals, but I think that's one thing where me and you are different, Larry, is that we're not out there to prove their existence, and we're not out there to convince anybody that these creatures do exist. I mean, I've got family and friends that, you know, they think I'm a nut. And probably 98% of the population thinks that we're nuts.
Yeah.
And it's okay. I'm not, you know, if somebody asks me about it, if they find out that I go out looking for Bigfoot, I do not ever try to convince them that this creature's out there. Now, what I will do is give them an invitation and say, look, I know of a place where we get lucky a lot of the times out there, and you're more than welcome to come with us.
Right.
And you make up your own mind. But it kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier. People will form opinions without looking at the facts. And you have to let the facts speak for themselves.
I agree. And I like being an experiencer more than a researcher. A researcher is scientific. I'm not scientific. I'm going out there to take it in for myself. And if I catch something, I'll share it with people. If I see a print, I'll share it with people. If I have something happen, I'll tell them what happened. But other than that, I don't care. But there are some great groups out there that are trying scientifically to do this. And some of them may have some evidence that they're holding back because of the community. Some of them may not want to share what they got because they've got a pattern going, or they have something going that they just don't want to put out for everybody to go out and do right at this point. And I understand that, because if you figured something out, that's fine. But that's where the pride and ego of the community gets in the way of the end result of figuring out what it is and what's going on. Because if you want to be the man, then you want to hold the other people back. And well, maybe you don't want to hold them back, but you want to beat them to the goal line anyway.
Yeah.
You want to be the winner.
Yeah.
And to me, in this subject, there ain't a winner. The only winner is all these people that have witnessed this thing and want to prove to their relatives and friends that they're not crazy. That's the only winner that's going to come out of this. Because I think if you get the video that science doesn't debunk and the critical thinkers doesn't call you a hoaxer and everybody's on board with it that it's real, I don't think you're going to get $1 million out of it.
Yeah.
You're going to have a hard time getting anything out of it. But what I know, that's why I'm still working every day, ain't it?
Well, you know, and there is so many different reasons why the ball isn't moving forward. Now, you take people that put their reputation on the line, and I'm talking about, well, let's just take Peter Burns, that back in 1976, he found what was it, like 15 hair samples, which a lot of them had plugs out of skin. It had actual flesh on them, and he sent this to the FBI for them to analyze it. Mm-hmm. And you talking about somebody getting the runaround. And so whenever he started bringing more people into his fold that was credible people that would try to pressure the FBI into analyzing these samples. And they came after him. They actually, you know, he was setting up trips to Nepal, and they put out a warrant for his arrest and charged him with tax evasion. And he kind of got off the hook a little bit. He got like 3 years probation when it was all said and done. But it shows how people and governments will work against you. And, you know, this is a proven fact, what happened to him.
Yeah.
And so that's one thing that can keep the ball from moving down the field.
Yeah, definitely. And that's just one thing. There's several things that go on behind the scenes with groups and individuals, and that's not even taking into account what the government did in the past. I mean, look at the UFO, which they're calling something different now. Now the government is coming out and saying, well, there is something in our air that we don't know what it is or whatever. And then I read that story about them hiring the theologians and priests to control the masses whenever they say that aliens are real, if they are, whatever. Yeah. But I don't know. Is that day coming for Bigfoot, or God forbid the dog man? But you know, what else is out there that people see that we don't understand? I'd much rather run into a little person, even though they're supposed to be pretty ruthless for their but I don't know. But to me, some of the best evidence gathered is usually from the homeowner that brought the property with a clan living on it. And why they start bringing out the evidence and telling what's going on, and then they start getting character assassinated, or people start trying to go into their area to see if they can get a picture or a video or something. And it's crazy how people are. I mean, I deer hunt, and if you tell somebody you saw a big buck in your area, then people start crowding into your area as close as they can, if not trespassing, trying to kill the big buck. And that's the way Bigfoot is. They think it's some kind of trophy or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm glad we're not that way. I really am. That's man, that's a bad road to go down. And because you just get, if you allow something to eat at you, you start getting tunnel vision, and you do things that you normally would not do, and it can definitely change your character.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I look at pictures every day on Facebook. I'm in some groups that these people share pareidolia, and they share what they say is dog man pictures. And I look at them and I'm like, I don't see it. And instead of commenting, what are you looking at? Are you crazy or whatever? I just move on
Yeah.
because it ain't worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, the person that took the picture could have seen something walk up to that point and could have took the picture, and then the picture just didn't look that good, but it was all they had to say there was something there that I saw move to that tree, and this is it. So I don't know. I try to treat most people with respect. I try to treat them the way I want to be treated. And I, well, I was going to say my daddy told me if I didn't have nothing nice to say to move on, but my daddy will tell you whatever he thinks. So, but I'll move on. It just, there's too many trolls out there that want to just sit and bicker and argue. Okay, if the evidence isn't great, move on. It's not going to go anywhere. Just move on.
That reminds me of the time that we were researching an area, and Shelley found what appeared to be baby prints next to a creek. And as she started doing circles and working her way around where she found the prints, about 25 feet up the hill was what looked like a butt print.
Yep.
And so it just, to speculate, it would be easy to speculate. Mama sat here in the dirt while the baby played. Thank you, Leanne. While the baby played next to the creek. And we took pictures, and Shelley's a good photographer. But those pictures did not come out to what we saw in the field. And so we never posted the pictures, and we will talk about it now. But that's the thing about it, is if somebody takes a picture, video, or whatever, and talks, and puts it up there, they're going to get shot down. But you wasn't there. You was not there in the field to actually see what this person saw, heard, felt, whatever. And that's where people just, I have to walk away from it, Larry, because I'm not going to spend my time trying to shoot somebody down or ask them a bunch of questions that's going to make them defensive. I'm just going to concentrate on what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I've got to where I don't look as much into the evidence that people present anymore because I'm just sick of, because I'll look at the comments and man, somebody posts a picture, it's going to be great picture, awesome picture, blah, blah. I can't see nothing. What are you looking at? Whatever. Yeah. There ain't no in between. Like, hey, what's the story behind this? Or
yeah, it's
just either you're the greatest or you suck.
Yeah.
Why is it that night and day? There's got to be some middle ground in there somewhere. I don't know. It's crazy. It's just flabbergasting to see, and people will put out evidence videos of an outing or something. And some people love them. Some people, you ain't got nothing. Why'd you even bother wasting my time? Blah, blah. And usually the people putting the videos together are just showing what they went through, what they did, what they found or didn't find, and the fun they had while they were doing it.
Yeah.
But to some people, if you make a video, there's got to be a picture of one running across the creek barefooted with 3 salmon on a string over its shoulder or something. Or you wasted their time. I don't understand it. I don't.
Okay, getting back.
Are we going to talk back about what we're missing?
Well, that's what I was going to bring up. Why do you think, Larry, that with all this new technology that we have, that we haven't gotten something as good as the Patterson-Gimlin film?
That's another one of those questions. And they either have a sixth sense against the technology we use, we're very stupid to the technology we use, or we don't understand the environment and them well enough to use the technology to catch them. And it could very well be all 3 of those things mixed together.
Yeah.
I know I like to turkey hunt, and everybody in the spring talks about this wise old gobbler. The gobbler ain't wise. He's out there trying to get a hen to breed the hen. The difference is that in nature, the hen goes to the gobbler, and we're trying to get the gobbler to come to the hen. He ain't smart. He just knows that he can stand there and strut, and the hen's coming to him, and he's going to stand there and wait. That ain't nothing to do with intelligence. That's just to do with the way they have bred and lived their whole life. We're just the idiots that go out there and try to reverse nature. And we're probably trying to reverse nature with Bigfoot, but we don't know enough about Bigfoot to know what we're reversing.
Absolutely.
Did that make any sense?
It makes a lot of sense, because I know me and you have different opinions about Bigfoot, but we have never been caustic to one another about our opinions, because all we can do, we don't have the facts to do that, but we can speculate and we can have opinions, and with those opinions we can develop theories, and with those theories then you try to up your game with tactics and strategies.
Yeah.
My just one point why I believe that the ball may be moving forward, but it's not moving like you would think it would in 50 years. Now,
Right.
my opinion is these creatures are highly intelligent above your normal animal, and they know what humans are, and they know to stay away from them. And it is basically, they teach their young generation after generation to avoid humans at all costs, and they spend their whole lives avoiding humans. But I think where their Achilles heel can be is, I feel like they're curious animals.
Yeah.
And so you can maybe get lucky playing on their curiosity. But I feel like that's why you are not going to just happen to for people to run into them, in the woods. Because when you step in the woods, you're in their house.
Yeah.
And I feel like if they're in the area, they know you're there. They hear the tires crunching on the gravel before you even get out of a vehicle, and they're waiting and they're watching. There could be a family unit that's close by, and I guarantee you, you're going to get trailed in there. It's my opinion. I shouldn't say guarantee, but
don't say guarantee.
But we have had it happen so many times to us.
Yeah.
And it's so those are the things that we try to keep our eyes open for. But I just feel like that even though that our technology has advanced, they are still know what humans are, and they're avoiding humans.
Yeah.
I didn't, when I first got into this, I didn't know whether I believed in glyphs or not. And I remember one time me and you were at LBL, and we had found a sign on a couple of signs off on one side of the road. And so we started walking in that direction, and you spotted that glyph on the ground. And you look at it and you say, there was no way this thing was natural. It could have been made by a human, but you could say, why would they put that there? And you say, how would they see that at night? All these questions come up. Well, what if they urinate on that glyph and they use the sense of smell to, if another one comes in, to follow that direction, to maybe say something? And we walked about 15 yards up a hill, and there was a water source right there.
Yeah.
And so I'm very careful that even though people that have different opinions than I do, that I'm going to at least listen with an open mind. But too many people, if it goes against their opinion, they're going to try to shoot that theory down. They're going to try to take that person and just run them through the mud and make that person look bad.
Yeah.
But it goes back to, if you're on the computer and that's all you're doing, and you just want to shoot people down, why aren't you out in the woods trying to prove your own theories?
I ain't got time for that. But yeah, what you're saying, I was going to say, one thing we're missing is we're not all playing in the same sandbox together. You got this sandbox over here that says it's an ape or unknown primate. You got this sandbox that's saying it's a relic hominid. This sandbox that says it's a hybrid between a primate and a human, maybe made by the government. You got this one that says it's paranormal, and this one that says it's alien, that UFOs are dropping them off. This one that says it's a demonic entity, and this one that says it's angelic, it's Nephilim or who, whatever. Everybody's got their own sandbox, and if anybody takes their toy from their sandbox to the other sandbox, it's getting thrown out. We don't want to hear it because you don't even know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what they're looking for unless they've got some understanding that we don't. I mean, me and Mark can sit at a campfire and argue all night about it. And it don't make either one of us right.
Right.
But we both have our own opinions. And we both have some facts that back up our statements. But we don't know 100% what it is. And that's the beauty of the whole subject. And until we can combine sandbox A, B, C, D, and E to where we're not worried about what it is, but trying to all figure out what it is instead of acting like we know and shunning everybody else, we're going to get more done. And I don't know. It's the most aggravating thing since getting caught in the butt kicking circle in school. Because you can't win. You address one way and you get kicked in the butt, and you turn that way to address it and you get kicked in the butt. You just can't win.
Yeah. You know, so many people have strong opinions about the TV shows. Now, I'm just going to call one out, Finding Bigfoot. That kind of started it. Now, 90% of the people, they're going to sit there and bash the TV show, or they're going to like it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like what you said earlier. There's no middle ground. But what I would like for people to think about is whether it was I think the TV show was a good thing, because what that did was it opened the public's eyes to this creature could be out there.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, all the people that have had encounters of some type, it made those people more comfortable to talk about their encounters.
Yeah.
And that's a very positive thing, because when you go into these databases, be looking for clues that are the same. And that can help you lead your own research into what you should be doing in the field.
Yeah.
To give an example, when I first got into this, there was a feller that was in the same group that I was in at the time, and he's gotten out, and I've gotten out, and you've gotten out, and we've all gotten out. But his name's Randy Harrington. And we had our own private blogs. So Randy had 10 years of blogs on here. And I spent a year starting at the very first one he put in and studying it, and then watching what he learned whenever he used a different tactic or strategy, and saw how he tweaked it, and saw what he did next and next for 10 years. And I learned so much from Randy that it's amazing. But if you are the type of person that you can't be told something, you can't learn from somebody else, that's absolutely useless for you.
Right.
But that's why I do appreciate the TV shows, because of the awareness that it put out there. And because of the awareness, the people that did actually have encounters, or they may not even realized at the time that it was a Bigfoot encounter.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they start learning these behavior characteristics. And that, oh man, that sounds like what happened to me, know. And that's why I think we can learn so much from these people. And that's why I personally probably haven't watched 5 or 6 of the Finding Bigfoots. And it's simply because I don't have cable or satellite. And
if you saw the first 1 or 2, then you got the mold for the rest of them, and that's what they do every time. And there's nothing wrong with that, because the backbone of the show was the town hall meetings where the witnesses came out and told their story. And I understand that some of the witnesses were planted because of their story, but it was their story. Yeah. So that don't make it bad. It just makes it a little scripted. And TV, they're going to make it where it's entertaining and where it leads you down the road till the cliff falls off from under you. But that's just TV.
And you can't really blame it on the researchers that were on the show, because you have to look, there is a production company that is trying to sell this to a network, and the network is not going to buy it unless they can sell commercials.
Right. Because if they were going to watch true research, then the hundreds and thousands of videos that are on YouTube, at least 10 of them would have made it on TV by now. But most videos don't have a whole lot of evidence. And Finding Bigfoot didn't have a whole lot of evidence either. But they had fun doing it. And I think all of them had a genuine passion for what they were doing. They were just constrained to the TV show.
Yeah.
And they had to follow orders. So they did. That's probably why I'll never make it on TV, besides I'm so ugly. They won't let you eat chili in camp either. So, Mark, what are we missing?
I think the biggest thing that we are missing, no matter what your goal is to accomplish, is boots on the ground. And that's one reason that I wanted to have Thomas on to talk about the real 4 horsemen. People that they had boots on the ground. They had strategy.
Wasn't the real 4 horsemen Ric Flair and Arn Anderson and the other Anderson and Tully Blanchard? Wasn't that the 4 horsemen?
I think they stole that.
Oh.
Because the real 4 horsemen were before them.
Oh, well, they were my favorite 4 horsemen.
Okay.
I couldn't stand them, but they were good. Go back to your 4 horsemen.
They had boots on the ground. I'm going to tell you, one of the wisest things that I have heard any researcher, enthusiast, whatever you want to call us, say
Thank you.
is Mark Marcel. And he told us that you figure out what you're good at, what your niche in life is, and you apply it to this hobby.
Yeah.
And that, it doesn't matter if it's everything from being a hunter, a tracker, to a photographer. Whatever your passion is, whatever your niche is, whatever you're good at, you apply that to how you go about to succeed in your goals with Bigfoot. It's as simple as that.
Man, now I got to try to figure out what I'm good at. I have no clue about that either. Is that next week's show?
You're good at eating coconut cake.
Yeah, I am good at that. I hope to practice this weekend. Oh, man. What do you think is the key to figure out what we're missing? Do you think the key is it to figure out what we're looking for, what it is?
I think that depends on the individual. Whether if it's a group and that's what the group's goal is, or if it's just an individual that goes out there looking.
Yeah. Well, I think it would make it the subject easier if we knew exactly what we were looking for. Because if it is a demonic entity that's coming to Earth occasionally and we're running into it, then we're wasting our time tramping through the woods. If it's an alien that's getting zapped down from a UFO occasionally, we're wasting our time. If it's a primate that's out there all the time, then we should have done found something. If it's a relic hominid, we should have found something. That's the perplexing part of this subject. What is it? Is it 100% flesh and blood that's here constantly? Is it 50-50? Or is it not even flesh and blood?
If what Larry is talking about, if that is your passion to prove, let's say that the UFOs beam them down, I am willing to look at any evidence that you have. And if that's your niche, then that's what you have to do, is to go out and prove. Did you just dream this up in your head, or did somebody talk about it and it implanted in your brain and now that's what you believe? Or is it something that you've seen? Whatever it is, then go out and spend your time trying to prove it. Because if you do prove it, I can guarantee you that when I look at it, at your evidence, I'm going to look at it with an open mind. I can't tell you that I'm going to agree with you, but I will tell you that I will look at it with an open mind and not judge that person.
Look at this guy with a bandana. He says Sasquatch is not demonic. Well, I gotta say that probably me and Mark don't think that either.
Yeah.
But it is on people's list of things they think Sasquatch is. So, Flat Rock says, hope everyone brings their evidence to LBL so they can discuss it. I'm bringing a can of chili. Patrick brings up a good point, repeated observations and DNA. And that's another thing. I think the DNA gets brushed aside a lot because it closely matches our DNA. So they always say it's contaminated.
Yeah.
Michael, we could talk about old school wrestling all night. Mark would get bored and fall asleep.
Not unless we're talking about Jerry Lawler and Jimmy Hart.
Squatch Talk says, what are we missing? Good organization and money with the right tactics. Yeah, then you got to have the right organization with the right leaders in that organization running it too. And there are some good ones out there. There ain't no doubt about it. There's some good people in the community. And there's some rotten apples in the community, just like with every community. Can you say his name?
But I bet he's from Australia.
He knows that they live in family groups and are curious, and flesh and blood is what he sees. And
that's my opinion of them. But that's a personal opinion. And if you've got a different opinion, I'm not going to go hating.
I'm not
because you've got a different opinion, and I think that's my pet peeve with this whole community.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, Chris. And
why don't we? That's another show.
Well, how do we know that there hasn't been one on the table and it's been covered up?
Here's another good thing. Yep, take your idea or theory and test it in your area.
Yep.
And there's some people that are getting a lot of experiences and things happen with things they're picking up. I know Matthias and Kane. I know Shane, Randy, Chris. I think the Olympic Project is getting some good stuff. In AWAC. There's a bunch of them out there that are using different methods. Some are more scientific than others, but they're gathering some of them are gathering more scientific evidence than others, but some are having extraordinary things happen that you just can't measure. So
yeah,
I don't know how else to say that than that, but sooner or later, we're going to hone in on what it takes to get a better pattern for these things, to know what they are, what they do daily. We have to at some point.
Yeah. I guess that's one thing about me is if I kick the bucket before they are proven, if they are ever proven, it's that don't even matter to me. It's the thrill of the chase of going out there with my friends. I go out with my friends, people that if it wasn't Bigfooting, it would be fishing, or it would be hunting, or it would be hiking.
Yeah.
That's why I'm out there, is to enjoy being out there with my friends.
Don't let it end there. Is that it?
That's it.
I was trying to do something.
Oh.
You got to keep talking.
So, What's some of the people's opinions in chat on what we are missing so that we can move the ball down the field?
Smoking Monkey said, "You big dummy, if they are an extraterrestrial, they are still flesh and blood." How about that,
There you
Martin
go.
Buble? Hey, that's a good point. It is. Once they get beamed down here, or whatever they do, they're flesh and blood on this earth just like we are. And you know, Cain said this whenever we were out several times. And he said, if you look at all the creatures on the earth and you look at man, who doesn't belong here?
Yeah.
Maybe we're the aliens here on this planet and everything else was here to begin with. Because we have to manipulate nature to survive, where all the animals that are living here, they just live in it and do well, including Mr. Sasquatch, whatever he is. So maybe we're the weirdos. Well, we are the weirdos, but once he said that, I was like, man, that's one of the wisest things I've ever heard. Quit drinking. Oh, David Blaylock, does it seem that once you have an encounter, you have more throughout life?
I think that would be on an individual basis. I think it would depend. Let's say they're on your homestead. It's you going, even if you were hunting in the woods or you're fishing in a stream that you have to hike into, you could be going into their area. And so it could seem like that you're seeing them.
Yeah. Well, I've told you this before. The people that take all the weird photos that we can never see anything in, maybe some people are just tuned into them better than we are, and they're able to see them better than we do.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's a fact, but these people are adamant that these things are in these pictures or they see these things. They're adamant. They 100% believe what they're saying. But you can show Mark or myself the picture and we're like, I see something dark there, but I can't tell what it is. And then he show it to the next person. They're like, oh yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know if there's some kind of mental psychic, well, not psychic, but something different about our brain and our vision. I don't know. I really don't. Wished I did.
I think one thing that we can do is we can be civil to one another, no matter how different your opinions are. And you might be able to learn something. It's why would you spend your time trying to tear somebody apart because you don't see what they saw?
Right.
And so many times, we talked about this earlier, you don't know the backstory on it. Just like the butt print that Shelley found. We could not get good pictures of it, but you could sit there and look at it and you could run your fingers over that print right up its butt crack. And what else could it have been? You know, what
Did you
else?
smell your finger after you did that?
I didn't.
That's what Shelley was doing.
Yeah, I think she even stuck her finger in her mouth.
Oh,
See,
Shelley. Man. Yes. I think everybody will 100% believe you if you say it happened. There's another thing to the backstory that people don't put into play with the evidence and stuff. The person's integrity.
yeah.
That's the first thing anybody will go after that has presented evidence, is trying to tear down somebody's integrity. And some of the people we know that have been attacked have impeccable integrity that wouldn't lie about anything they did. But these people that get convicted of lying in a court of law call them a liar, and everybody believes that person.
Yeah.
So if you don't know the person, don't make a snap judgment because somebody says something about them. I know a lot of, well, I'm not going to even talk about the other YouTube channel. It don't matter.
You know, I know that me and you have spent a lot of time with people that I personally consider pillars in this community. And they go out with zero evidence collecting devices, no audio recorders, no cameras, no nothing. But they have their stories. And it's what you said, it's the integrity of that person, that when they tell you something, that you know that they're not making it up. You know, you've never have caught them doing anything that was dishonest, much less lying. And it goes back to, what are your goals? Are you trying to prove that these creatures exist, or are you just out there to have the experience?
Yeah. Because you ain't going to convince anybody of jack squat.
Yeah.
Unless you haul in a body. Mark, here's a question for you. Are you going to grow the goatee back?
I don't know, but I tell you what, when I clipped, I got to thinking today. I've got them whiskers in a surgical glove where I clipped them, and I thought, I wonder if anybody would pay me for those. Could we auction them off?
Oh, man, if you auction that off.
If we do, I'll give it to Debbie Jones. Let that be your incentive. Whatever we make, I'll give it to Debbie.
There you go. Somebody may bid on it. Who knows? All right.
Well, I think it's been a good discussion tonight. We ain't solved no riddles.
Nope.
But I think it's good to be able to discuss things like this. It might send up red flags to new people that have gotten into the community, that
good luck.
you know, like when they see all this bickering going on. I think and man, I'm just going to call out the name.
Oh, don't call out the name.
Yeah,
I'm
calling out the name.
Oh.
I remember a lady that offered, she was just had gotten into the community, and she says, why don't you put a GoPro on your back so you can see if anything steps out after you walk by. And I know that DW, Daisy in the Box, sat there and they tore this woman apart and said, "Don't you know we've been doing this for 20 years?" And instead of trying to uplift somebody, they tore her apart. And I'm sure now, if she sees something come up on Bigfoot on her on when she's watching YouTube, I bet she goes right past it. I bet she wants nothing to do with the Bigfoot community.
That's
And
how I am.
I that's what I would like to see change. I would like to see people call out the ugly people. When people are being ugly, that's when the community ought to come together and ostracize those individuals. So, what if this lady has a niche in life that she could actually, it might be that one piece of the puzzle that could help solve this mystery. But I guarantee you, this woman won't even look at nothing that says Bigfoot by the way that they talk to her. And it's just being ugly.
I agree. There's really no need for it. But it's like being in high school. And the bullies all hang together and think they're cool and pick on everybody else. And nobody likes them. They can't understand why.
Yeah.
But anyway, man, that feels like it deflated the whole show.
Okay. I don't even know if I'm supposed to say this.
You ain't, but go ahead.
And I don't think that you know anything about this. Or if you
I don't
do,
know nothing about nothing.
Okay. There is a NASCAR driver that does the Larry, don't do that. That does the infinitive diecast series. And he came in second place in a race. And they showed it last night, and he talked about us on Beast TV and Beast of the Woods. And he's got the graphic people that does like the wraps on cars.
Yeah.
And Larry, we are getting a NASCAR wrap on his car for
Really?
Beast TV and Beast of the Woods. Yeah, can you believe that?
Wow.
But that's all I don't even know if I was supposed to say that.
You wasn't.
But he
now
knows
the IRS is coming after you.
He knows who he is, and we just appreciate this guy. He is just he comes into our chat. He comes into other people's chats. And one thing that he told Shelley last night is, he don't want no credit for this. He said he's just trying to get out the awareness of what is out there and sees this as his vehicle, his niche to be able to do that and to bring it up in conversation. But yeah, he talked about us, Larry, last night.
This is NASCAR?
This is it's the Infinitive Diecast. It's
Okay.
simulator is what it is. But it's a pretty big series.
Yeah.
I believe he said that like Dale Earnhardt Jr. races in it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of NASCAR racers that race in this.
Yeah.
And so, but I just thought it was really cool that we're going to get our own wrap.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah, people have done that type of racing forever, and actually they can win money and everything else at it.
So
that's
once that comes out, we are going to promote this, and we're going to put the link in our comment sections and on our Facebook page, and so that we can support this guy.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, JD wants to know if he's had an encounter. Do you know if he's had an encounter?
I do not know.
No, I didn't expect to be, Donald. That's funny. Oh, that's great advice, DD. And my response is the good Lord to win in the end. He always wins in the end. But all right, Mark, you got anything else you want to talk about? Any the upcoming shows, what we got cooking for the rest of the month? Okay. You know the schedule.
Well, we're flip-flopping. Larry was the first one to start it on Thursday nights. Next week will be Beast TV, and the week after that will be Beast Night with Bama, and Bama Murdoch is going to be doing his podcast on Larry's channel once a month. And then it'll be back to Beast TV. And then we'll do the rotation like that on it.
All right.
And if y'all don't want to bid on my whiskers to help out all the work that Debbie Jones does, then be sure to, we've got these new t-shirts out if you want to help support us. And that goes to Shelly and Debbie for the money and the time that they've got to invest, because we're all volunteers on here. And nobody's on a payroll.
I don't know. Bob's on the payroll and Leanne. We're in their inner circle. One's providing coconut cake and the other one gave us some money. So
yeah,
there you go. David will give you $2 for your beard. There it is.
That's $2 more than what I had. I hope that helps, Debbie.
Oh, me. All right. Well, as soon as I get this little window closed here, we're going to cut this short so I can go to bed.
Okay. Larry, let that outro play all the way through, because you're going to have to be a responsible producer now. Okay.
Gosh. Well, maybe once a month I can do it.
Yeah.
I doubt it. Anyway. Good night, everybody. See y'all
night, footers.
next Thursday. Here we go.